Hi, my name is Rachel. Today I'm going to show you how to remove and replace the water pump on a John Deere 50 tractor. So you would know that your water pump needs to be replaced if it is leaking. There's a weep hole right here that water might leak out of. Not just leaking out of the front of your tractor, that could be a problem with the radiator, but if it's leaking out of the weep hole, then that would be an issue with the water pump. Also, it could whine, there could be a noise to it, that would be an indication that it's getting worn, or this pulley on the end here could be loose because it's worn again. So those would all be reasons why you'd want to replace your water pump completely. I am going to remove the front nose piece of the hood of my tractor here just so that you can see more easily the water pump inside what I'm doing. You wouldn't necessarily have to remove this part yourself. You could leave your front nose piece on your tractor. I do think that it makes it a little bit easier also to get your wrenches into the water pump. That's a tight fit inside there. So if it's easy for you to get the front nose piece off your tractor, you can. This is a special socket that I have. You can see the end of it matches the inside portion of this bolt. If you don't have this part, you can just use a wrench on the outside of here. It doesn't matter. Then there's a nut on the back of it that you'll snap onto to hold on to. Then you can loosen this up and remove all of the bolts off of your tractor, or the front nose piece here of your tractor. I already have all the other ones off so that it can lift off. It is a two-person job to remove the front nose piece of your tractor, so I'll get some help. There are some dowels that go down in here on each side that you'll need to release. There's also some fins down here that will sometimes get caught when you remove it. Also, remember to take your radiator cap off, and then you'll be ready to lift the front nose piece off the front of your tractor. I'm releasing the bottom of my air cleaner here just so that you can see easier, and you also, when you make this repair, will be able to access the water pump easier. Be sure to have your hand underneath it when you release that, as it is filled with oil and you don't want to have a spill. Next, we're going to talk about removing this belt. When you make this repair, please make sure that you remove the ground cable of your battery. It's important that you remove the ground cable, not the other, because then it could arc. The gas tank is here, so remove that ground cable for safety purposes. Our hands are going to be right here, and we don't want to have an accident and have that fan move on us and hurt ourselves. So make sure to remove your ground cable. Then we're ready to remove this belt from the tractor. It is connected to the generator on the other side. I already loosened up the generator to allow some slack so that the belt can slide off of there. Also, there's a pulley down here that it needs to come off of, and then it will come off over the top of the fan. So you'll wiggle that around. It's tedious to get it out of there, but work with it and you can get it out. The last step is to get it around the fan. So I just push it over one of the fan blades, and then I move the fan up and keep pushing it around the whole entire way. I've got it around two blades now. There's the third. One more and the belt should come right out. There we go. There we go. There's the belt. You can see that mine is quite worn. Look at there, it's coming apart a little bit. So we'll definitely want to replace this belt while we're in here doing this repair. I'm pulling the drain plug here to drain that water and antifreeze out of the tractor. It's very tight on there, so it might be hard for you to get off. It is for me, a little bit of a struggle there. Here it comes. I'll stand back a little. There'll probably be about 5 gallons that come out, so be sure you have a big bucket underneath here. And there you go. We're going to remove the lower radiator hose here. This is what it looks like. It is on there very, very tight. So there's clamps on either end, which you'll release. With a screwdriver, you can completely unscrew those clamps and remove them. The easiest way that I've found to get this hose off of there is just to slit it with a knife. We're going to replace this hose anyway, and you can certainly struggle with it and try to pull that out of there if you want to, but it is very tight and it will be quite the struggle for you. So you can just take a utility knife and slice that rubber, and then it will come right off of there, because mine already started here. So then that will just pull off, and then your pipe down here is ready. Then you can probably more easily get the other one off, or you can cut that one as well if you need to. But either method, just get those radiator hoses off of there completely. I'm removing my last bolt here from the water pump. I'm using a ratchet wrench because that makes it a little bit easier. The other two bolts that are in the water pump are in very hard positions to get to, so be creative and get your wrench down in there and you'll be able to get those bolts out. I already have my other two bolts out, so now we're ready to remove this portion which holds it in. There we go. Now we have the water pump out of the tractor. The water pump that came off of our tractor is not equipped with a bypass, so when we replace the new pump, we will leave this bypass plug in the pump. However, if your tractor is different and it needs a bypass, then you would remove the plug by just gripping onto it with a pair of locking pliers, and then you can beat it out with a rubber hammer and it will come all the way out. Then you can take the tube from your old pump and replace it in a similar fashion. Also, be sure to use some sealer around there, and then your pump will be ready for a bypass if your tractor needs that. After I removed the water pump from the tractor, I realized that the gasket was still on there. So I'm going to use this abrasive disc to remove that gasket completely so that when we replace, we can get a good seal on here. I'm putting some gasket sealer around here so that it gets a good seal. I did already put some gasket sealer on the tractor where the gasket is going to lie. Put it on both sides just to get a really good seal so that it won't leak. Then I'm going to insert the gasket on here before we put it on the tractor and make sure that all the holes line up properly. Notice how directional that is. So I'm going to get it on there the right way. And then I'm going to take one bolt so that I can start it, and start the one on this side so you can see this one. And then we'll drop it right into the tractor. Remember that sealer's already on there so we can get a really good seal. It'll drop up there, and then we'll put the bolts in. I'm just putting this lower radiator hose onto this tube. I'm going to slide it all the way on there, and then we'll go ahead and get it on the tractor. I did take a wire brush on both ends here and try to smooth that over so that this will slide on easier. And then you can also put a little bit of like penetrating oil on there if you need to make it really slippery. I have two new clamps which I'll put on. So then we hold that on there, and then I'm going to drop this down and wrap it around the water pump. I'll also do the same on this end of the tube so that both of the hoses are connected there. Just tightening up my last clamp there. I have all of my clamps on, both of the hoses attached, and everything's complete on that assembly there. Also notice that my bracket here is inserted. It's holding the fan part up as well. So now we're ready to put the belt on. You're going to insert the belt in a similar fashion to the way that we took it off. So first we'll have to feed it over the fan, and it sure is a tight fit to get it around there, but you can do it. Just keep moving the fan. There we go. It's around one blade. I'm going to wrap it around each blade of the fan here, and then there's 3 pulleys to get it around. There's one on the end of the generator, there's one on the water pump, and then there's one to wrap around right behind the fan here. So you have to wrap the belt around all 3 of those pieces there. I was able to get the belt completely on the tractor, wrapped around every part. I also put the bottom portion of the air cleaner back on. I got the plug in, and then I poured antifreeze through the radiator. When you do that, make sure there's no leak everything sealed properly there with your water pump. I also put everything back onto this front nose piece, and everything's assembled. The tractor is ready to go